Well, my name is Valentina DeJoseph, tattoo artist. I'm going to be 40 in a few days, and thus far, love has been unsuccessful and slightly awkward.
Why do you feel, in your personal experience, it's been unsuccessful for you and or slightly awkward?
I think a lot of that definitely has to do with when I grew up and actually did start entering, I guess, the dating market. Internet dating just started to be a thing. It's when all of us started having to work more, third spaces are going away. And at least for me, to the environment I grew up in, I never really had interactions, or I guess like high school love or anything, or even really seeing what a relationship should look like growing up. So,
Do you search for love yearly, monthly, weekly, daily?
so in the past when I was younger, I think I looked for a little bit more. Getting older, and with other things that have happened to me, I kind of don't care. It's more of, if it happens, it happens. Because sometimes I feel like if you're looking, you're almost going to force it a little bit.
Now, I hear that a lot. If it happens, it happens. How do you almost foresee it happening for you? Like, in your mind, if I was like, it's going to happen for you on this date, what could your imagination take you to see that being?
I mean, it's not something I had thought about, and I don't want to use love per se right now, but it did kind of happen recently where it's like you see somebody, frequently at maybe like some events, then you kind of start talking online and it like escalates a little bit, and I didn't see it happening that way, or really anyway, actually.
Why do you want to be loved?
I mean, honestly, I think it's just like a basic human need. And oftentimes when I'm out myself, I'll do things myself, I'm having fun, but always in the back of my mind it'd be like, well, it'd be a little bit more fun if somebody else was here, and then we can go home and talk about it, and it's fun to think about that event with that person later. Like, it just kind of adds to whatever you're doing, and I feel like that's what it should be.
Getting to experience life with someone.
Yes.
What does love mean to you?
I mean, currently, that's tough, because romantic love is definitely a little bit different from like familial, or even like somebody you develop like that kind of brother-sister relationship with. But at least for romantic love, it's just somebody you can trust with everything. Like, there's no other person you have to go to talk to with a problem. Like, they're the other person you can trust with, giving you an outline on your perspective, or even if you're having a problem or a bad day, you can trust them enough that you don't need to talk. You two can just sit and just take comfort that you are there for each other and you will have help.
When the last time you were in a relationship, how long did it last for you? Or what was the longest relationship you've ever had?
So, this is going to make me sound stupid. I dated the same person off and on for almost a decade, and it always ended the same way. Most recently, from 2022 to 2023, we had taken a step back to make sure we talked about everything and we were moving slow. However, there was a big wrench thrown into everything of me getting leukemia, and as much as we cared about each other, and I can safely say that I did and still do love this person, it was too much to handle. So,
how do you keep your partner throughout that decade? How did you guys come through compromise, and how did you guys kind of work on things to keep the love going?
so when I say off and on, there would sometimes be multiple year gaps through it, and I think part of it was just fear of new people. So anytime we'd cross paths again, it would just escalate because, there's a familiarity. And my problem, I think, was not doing things that scared me. That's kept me from actually finding a solid love that is going to last.
Why do you think you stay away from things that scare you when it comes to love?
I think part of it's just human nature. Again, I've said that twice, but it is scary. You're letting somebody be very close to you. You're letting somebody witness intimate moments with you. They're finding out potentially embarrassing information. And now with the internet, it adds a whole other layer of fear. Like, is this person going to film me privately? Is this person going to pull info off my computer or send all this stuff out on the internet if we get a fight?
Has that ever happened to you?
So it has not ever happened to me, and I'm very thankful for it. But I'm also very guarded about that sometimes. You'd hope that there's some mutual trust, but
that one would hope. Have you ever had trauma from your past relationships, and does it affect your current love?
I definitely had to say so. There have been a couple times where, friends have set me up with people, and one of the times I literally thought the guy was going to kill me. And even now when I go to meet people, it's always in the back of my mind, is this man gonna kill me or beat me up for saying the wrong thing? And I feel like, at least for me, it keeps me from being open enough, because I always want to kind of appease a little bit, just because there is that physical power imbalance.
No one should ever feel scared to, be safe. That's not something that should be right. And I feel like we moved away from protection, in partnership. What would you sacrifice in your life for love?
I mean, in the past, I've definitely put off some things I wanted to do. If it may be a vending event, or even working late. And in the future, I definitely think twice about sacrificing things for a career, just because priorities have changed. However, if it is an emergency and something actually serious, I would drop anything to be there for that person.
Do you ever reflect back on the things that you gave up for love and regret them and regret doing them because that love didn't pan out?
I do, but at the time I think those things maybe had to happen because I had to learn to be more independent and more myself, so hopefully I can be more of a whole person and actually fit in properly, so there's no compromise. Whoever I meet next will be getting who I actually am.
That's amazing. A lot of people, and my next question was going to be, a lot of people almost go through an experience and go, I will never do that again. Do you ever feel like that?
I do, but at the same time, if I don't at least put myself out there and try to get into some of these other situations and actually talk to people, I'm never going to meet anybody. Everything's still going to stay the same.
Amen. What have your partners in the past sacrificed for you that you've seen or asked for?
I mean, honestly, I feel like before I've kind of been a doormat. Thinking back, there was a couple times I asked people to come with me to vending events and stuff, and they weren't even that far from their house, and they just didn't feel like it, which should have been a red flag. But
what is your biggest compromise you've ever had for love to make it work in the end?
Honestly, I did try working less to make things work the last time, but I feel like after recovery, I was just so absolutely insane. And with all the weird stuff that happened, nothing could have fixed that. There would have been no amount of sacrificing that would have helped that situation on either end.
Now you spoke about getting cancer. Did your partner and were you partnered during the time that you had cancer and you were getting treated for it?
We had literally decided to officially start a relationship maybe 2 weeks before I was admitted to the hospital.
Was that person there to support you through that entire journey, or did you feel like you were alone in that?
No, he was there. He would come visit every week, and we'd talk every night, which was a huge help. But again, that was just like too much too soon, and going from having me being a person who was home all the time to never home like I usually am was just too much of a change. And
What have you asked someone to give up for your love? It can be something like a habit. It can be, like you said, work. It could be a friendship. It could be, an addiction.
I'm trying to even think throughout the past, because like I said, I feel like such a dork. I've probably only dated like 4 people at like 40 years old.
That's okay. Don't feel like a dork. I've talked to many different ages throughout my life, and they've dated less than 4 people at 50 or 60. So, it's everybody's journey is unique.
Like I said before, usually just maybe asking people to give up a time, like if it was a time where they'd normally like play board games with friends, if I was having something that I needed help with. I think that's really the biggest thing so far. Like maybe when I was sick, I did ask that person to get me Red Robin on the way to the house, but never anything too major. Like I've said, I've kind of been like a little bit of a doormat because I was like desperate for that companionship.
And now speaking on the doormat aspect, what do you believe is the hardest part of a relationship for you when you're in a relationship? Like things that stress you out?
For me, currently, just things that stress me out, especially, with my job of tattooing, always traveling. Sometimes I'll help on film sets, again, traveling, gone for like a month at a time. And even too, like modeling is a hobby. Like my biggest stressors are, is that person going to have a problem with that, me being away with like all these people they don't know for weeks at a time? Like a bunch of us are sharing hotel rooms. Sometimes it's co-ed. Like that I think would be the biggest issue coming up.
How do you kind of combat that issue? What do you offer them security wise? Do they ever ask to come with you? Do you ever want them with you during those travels?
So I feel like I would if that were to happen again. As I had briefly mentioned earlier, I've been talking to somebody and the issue hasn't come up yet. Beforehand, they're very well aware of, the things that I do, how my work schedule is. And I mean, honestly, at this point, that's something I'm not going to compromise. It's just there's going to have to be trust.
How do you build trust?
I feel like it's tough. Again, you're going into meeting somebody new. It's just kind of like a leap of faith to begin with. You're just kind of trusting and believing, and as time goes on, you can kind of tell when that mask starts to slip and that other person is thinking about somebody else, they're doing other things. And again, I've mentioned, even when I'm out traveling, I'm usually very open about where I am, like what I'm doing with that person. Obviously online, nobody knows where I am till the next day, but if you're with me, you're gonna have like free reign to know exactly what I'm doing, where I'm at.
Do you think that should come naturally for most people? Do you require that out of someone?
I think it should come naturally because this person's sharing everything with you. If it's getting to the point where you have to sneak around or feel like you're doing something they're not going to approve of, you have to take a step back and think about, why do you feel that way? Is this person right for you if you feel like you have to hide that?
What do you value most in life?
As of right now, I feel like the thing I value most in life is just safety. Like all my friends are people I feel safe and comfortable around. I'm now working in a tattoo shop that I feel 100% safe at. And when you're not constantly worried about other things happening, you can relax and just, let things flow, communicate.
Have you ever been afraid you wouldn't find someone who truly loved you?
I mean, I feel like that's always a fear because no matter what, when you talk to somebody, there's pretty much two, maybe three outcomes. Like you're together forever, you never speak again, or after a while, you start up a friendship.
What matters most in a relationship to you?
I just think what matters most is trust and safety. Like I could trust that I could speak to this other person. They're not going to go talk to some weird friend who's going to make even more problems. And that's safe, that they're not going to physically injure me. Like we can safely get into a disagreement and I know nothing's going to happen.
Have you ever broken anyone's heart?
Probably.
You say probably. Are you not too sure how they felt about it? How did you feel about it?
I mean, and I know this is going to sound weird and this kind of, I don't think has been a problem since really the internet and even people seeing you at markets talking to you. A lot of times people will develop this false image of you in their head and they'll almost have this whole relationship thing in their head where, you talk for months. From your end, it's just friendly. From theirs, it's some deep romantic relationship. And when they find out it's purely platonic, they're crushed. When there was never any expectation or flirting set up.
Has anyone ever broken your heart?
Several times. Definitely that guy who I went out with last in 2023. But
How did that feel, and how did you get over it?
it felt terrible. I mean, again, things were weird. I had wanted things to work. It's like you're in your head planning this wedding and all this stuff. It's like I'm gonna get better and things are gonna be normal, and then it doesn't. Like that's the last time you're talking to them, and it's almost like he died. I mean, obviously he didn't, but like recently, somebody sent me a picture and it was him, and I felt nothing. So at this point, I feel like I'm finally over it. That's part of the past.
What are your thoughts about online dating, like Tinder, Facebook dating, Hinge, and have they changed during or after the pandemic?
So I've started dating people online in 2010, and back then I feel like it was a lot better since there were also still some barriers to get to the internet. Like you still had to know how to maintain a computer, all that stuff. Bots weren't a thing. And honestly, I've met some of my best friends up there. My current best friend I actually met on online dating. And, it's like a family member. Like now, and I want to say maybe 6 months ago, I went on Hinge, and it's just terrible. Like nobody really puts effort into anything. Nobody even wants to keep up a conversation. Every person feels like they're gray rocking, and it's different now because even in 2010 you had a limited number of people online, and now everybody's online. There's so many people, and it's so disposable. It's like trading cards. It's like, oh, did you talk to that guy? Oh, I did. And you're just like swiping. It's definitely terrible, and I would never do it again.
Do you feel people approach you in life differently after the pandemic? Like when trying to come up and strike a conversation or icebreak or flirt with you?
I feel like people approach much less after the pandemic, and this is even at like shows and events where we all have like a common thread. We're all here to see one thing. People are definitely less chatty. You definitely have to go out to make a connection. And I find this is usually with people my age and younger. I hit up flea markets a lot, and there's a lot of people who are around silent generation, and they're always up to talk. But again, they've had most of their whole lives having, normal social structures, third places. So I definitely think like the internet and just being isolated for so long definitely affected our generation and down quite a bit.
How comfortable are you meeting someone new in person versus online today? Like if you had to be the one to walk up and start the conversation, do you feel confident or do you feel stressed?
I do feel confident because literally if I go talk to somebody new, the worst thing that can happen is I never talk to them again. That's literally the worst thing that can happen. Even if something that's embarrassing happens, nobody ever died from embarrassing, like mildly embarrassing it. So you have to be a little scared, and that's fine. That's the only way things are going to get done.
Now, a lot of men are afraid of conflict when coming up and talking to a beautiful woman or somebody they find attractive. Have you ever experienced somebody shunning you or judging you when you went to go talk to them? Like, oh my god, like why would you even think you could have a chance with me?
Sometimes, like definitely, I know people have been a little off-put when I've come up to make conversation, and usually I just put that to maybe being heavily tattooed. I didn't really think about it from that end because usually when I think about like if I'm approaching a man, like literally what does he have to be scared of? I'm like a 5 foot tall woman.
Do you ever let that sit with you? Like, does that ever like ruin your night or affect the next time you go up and try and talk to someone? That it like sits in the back of your head, like the last person I tried to walk up to and talk to was like, I don't like chicks with tattoos. Please walk away. You know what I mean?
I mean, anymore, people like what they like, and would I even really want to be with somebody who thinks I'm gross looking or even care about the opinion of somebody who thinks I'm gross looking at the end of the day?
That's good. Did the lockdowns and pandemic make you more cautious about who you invest your time and energy into?
For me, it really wasn't so much the pandemic as opposed to getting sick and feeling like I have limited time. Because at least for me, I'm like, okay, the pandemic is going to be over eventually. But now after like being in remission, I still feel like I may have a time limit. So I've definitely been a lot more cautious since then rather than the pandemic.
What role does technology, aka dating apps, video calls, social media, play in your relationships now? Do you feel like it's a detriment? Do you feel like the person is almost worried about what presence you have online, or other people hitting you up and like almost intervening in the relationship? Like, do your partners feel secure or insecure because of the internet and how easily accessible your DMs are? Like for a stranger to come in and just be like, hey, you're beautiful, you know?
I mean, I don't really have any point of reference because this hasn't been discussed yet with the person I'm currently talking to. I mean, obviously he knows like the pictures I post online on my public facing Instagram, what I do and everything, but I mean, I would hope hope he would know that he's really the only person that I think about in that way, and I could care less about anybody else who messages me like that. Like when I'm with somebody and I actually do like somebody, like that's it. Like you're it. I'm coming home with you.
What are your standards and expectations in a partner when you're in a relationship?
I've definitely upped my standards because again, I think before my main thing was just, oh, he's not going to hit me. I mean, now I definitely would like somebody else who's as motivated as I am, takes care of themselves in a similar way. And like, certain things I've been a little lenient on because it's kind of kept me from finding people. But mainly the last thing I want to do is end up with somebody who just wants to stay home all day and do nothing and wants to try to get me to do that, because that's not me. They have to have their own social circle. And another thing I've noticed, people want you to be their entire social circle, and that's not it anymore.
How has the importance of physical closeness versus emotional connection changed for you over your lifetime?
Definitely when I was younger, I was always looking for somebody who was a little more close by so we could see each other more often, in conjunction with talking often. And now as I've got older, I'm definitely fine with less physical contact as long as we talk online, talk on the phone. I mean, now I might only see this person once or twice a month, but I feel like that's enough for me. Hopefully it's enough for him, but
Did the pandemic make you more focused on self-love and independence or more eager for companionship?
the pandemic honestly made me realize how much fun I can have on my own, just being at home, creating, enjoying nature. So definitely like self-care, self-reflection at home has taken a little bit more of a priority than that.
In what ways do you think your energy or presence has changed in a relationship after the pandemic or after you got sick?
I definitely care a lot less about the other person disapproving of mundane things that I do. I'm less worried about expressing, my interests in media, interests in activities, even, hanging out with certain friends. I know nothing's happening because it's people I've known for decades, and, if they feel uncomfortable, that's their problem and not for me to deal with.
When you think about the love you want to receive, do you feel like you embody those same qualities in how you show up for others?
I would hope that I do. I always try to reciprocate. Sometimes, and it's silly, I feel so awkward saying or doing certain things. I'm like, is this going to come off as cheesy or corny? But then it's like, oh, I would like that, so it can't be. So just do it and, deal with the awkwardness later if it does happen.
How do you think the balance between your independence and your desire for connection shows up in the way you love today?
I think it shows up in that while I'm not always going to be available to drive over or be able to spend a week with somebody, I'm always ready to share my day, hear about their day, and, just be there and open to anything they have to say or a problem they're having.
If someone were to love you exactly as you currently are today, would you be the version of love you truly desire?
I think right now that this is the most normal, confident, and secure that I've ever been in a very long time. I think this would be a good version for somebody.
What are some green flags and some red flags in a relationship for you?
I definitely think, first off, the biggest things that would be a red flag are overstepping small boundaries, especially physical ones when being out, never asking me about my day, what I've been doing. Generally, green flags for me would be the opposite of that, obviously. But, hearing that the person is also helping out their friends, maybe active in their community, huge green flag. If something does happen, like saying, oh, I made you uncomfortable, won't do that again, respecting boundaries, huge green flag. And I don't think pressuring things to get physical super fast is also a huge green flag, because I feel like so many relationships immediately rush into that and like don't even know the person, and then it's just kind of like you're two people just having sex all the time, and that's not a relationship.
I think we have covered it all. I'm trying to think. I know we've gone through the scripted questions. What is one thing you're afraid of missing out in life? Whether it be love, whether it be a dream, what is one thing you have yet to experience in a relationship with someone, and I know we talked about being and going through experiences with somebody and getting to share that with them. What is one hope for your life, that an experience you hope to experience with somebody that you're fearful of missing out on? Whether it be a wedding, buying your first house with someone, children, maybe a road trip across America. What is one thing that you have a dream about sharing with someone that you're worried about missing out on?
I mean, the one thing that I had been hoping for, as stupid as it sounds, because I know like weddings are just stupid parties, but you know, I would have liked to have had a wedding with the person I loved. You know, I already had like everything planned out. It's like, ooh, we can have it in front of the haunted house at Knoebels and like all that stuff, and like really ridiculous. But I mean, maybe someday, you know, that could happen, and it would be, again, great to have a house and come home to that person. You know, we decorate it together. It's like a piece of both of us. But as time goes on, it just seems like those things that used to be so normal and accessible are just impossible. It's like a fantasy.
What is the most meaningful part of life to you?
Right now, I just love going out there and meeting new people and just experiencing things from other people's viewpoints. Everybody has something to show me, and now that I'm finally able to be out and about again, you know, it's great. Like a huge weight's been lifted, and you know, there's just like so much to do, and I feel like there's just not much time.
What is your biggest dream or aspiration in life?
One of my biggest dreams would just be to be able to be well known enough at tattooing that I could just travel all over the country, guest spotting. You know, I'd have enough clients in all these different places to like pay for my hotels and everything, and I'd get to see the whole country and, you know, work, meet new people, do some cool tattoos.
Is there anything else you'd like to say or have known about you?
I mean, I'm not really sure. I'm not like super huge on volunteering information without being asked. But, you know, thank you for having me and, you know, letting me answer your questions.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.